Bessie Miltonaka Magoo Milton had always dreamed of opening her own wedding cake shop. After years of working as a grocery store cake decorator, she decided to take the plunge and start Milton's matrimonial masterpieces. Armed with a love of baking and a complete disregard for proper spelling and grammar, Bessie was confident she could create the most unique and, let's say, memorable wedding cakes in town. On the day of her grand opening, Bessie excitedly began taking orders from local brides and grooms. The first cake she decorated read, "I chose you and you chose he," a touching sentiment, if not for the misspelt word. Another order requested something romantic, which Bessie interpreted as "share with me, one love, one life, one ghoul." Bet the ghoulie weds loved seeing that. Tee-hee-hee. Despite the baffled looks from customers, Bessie's confidence never wavered. "They're going to be talking about these cakes for years," she would tell herself as she piped on yet another baffling message. One particularly unfortunate groom requested a simple, the perfect love story design, which Bessie somehow mangled into the perfect love story. Word of Bessie's hilarious cake blunders quickly spread around the small town. Brides-to-be would routinely drive by just to catch a glimpse of the latest creation in the shop's window, sniggering and snapping photos to share on social media. Local reporters started stopping by, eager to interview the delightfully ditzy cake decorator. "I'm just trying to put my own special touch on these cakes, you know," Bessie would explain to the bewildered journalists. Romance is all about the little imperfections that make it perfect. One day, a couple walked into the shop, determined to give Bessie's infamous cakes a try. "We want something really touching and heartfelt," the bride instructed. Bessie's face lit up as she got to work, carefully piping out the message, "Mr. and Mrs. to be." As the newlyweds cut into the cake at their wedding reception, gasps of shock rang out among the guests. Instead of the saccharine sentiment Bessie had intended, the cake proclaimed, "Mr. and Mrs. to be, or not to be." "Well, that certainly is the question, Bessie. Tee-hee-hee." The bride burst into tears while the groom tried in vain to contain his laughter. Bessie meanwhile beamed with pride. "See, I told you it would be memorable," she exclaimed. Despite the hilarious mistakes, Bessie's cakes began drawing customers from miles away. People were clamoring to get their hands on one of the notorious Milton masterpieces for their weddings. And Bessie wouldn't have it any other way. "Spelling is for squares," she would say, wiping buttercream off her apron. "I'm making wedding cakes with heart, even if that heart is wearing mismatched socks." As long as there were brides and grooms willing to embrace the art of the unconventional, Bessie Milton Magoo would be there to capture their love with her own special brand of sweet, misspelled charm. What happened to Bessie? Well, she married some years ago to the most handsome guy. She made the most beautiful wedding cake which read, "Make our love be as perfect as the spellin' on this cake."
But this is something else entirely. It's like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, and we're just trying to wrap our heads around it. Authorities have been quick to respond, with the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) and the Department of Homeland Security (DHS) launching a full-scale investigation into the incident. The airspace around the Dallas-Fort Worth airport has been shut down, and a massive security perimeter has been established as officials attempt to gather more information and assess the potential threat. "We're taking this situation extremely seriously," said a DHS spokesperson. "The safety and security of the American people is our top priority, and we're working around the clock to determine the nature and intentions of this unidentified craft. We can't at this present moment in time discount the fact that it could be some giant weather balloon. It is too early to say." Despite the chaos and uncertainty, some local residents have expressed a sense of wonder and excitement at the prospect of first-hand contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. "This is history in the making, man," exclaimed one bystander. "Who knows what kind of amazing things we might learn from these beings?" As the world watches with bated breath, the situation at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport continues to evolve, with more details and developments expected to emerge in the coming hours and days. The appearance of this massive alien mothership has undoubtedly shaken the very foundations of our understanding of the universe and the implications for the future are truly profound, but the giant weather balloon explanation seems to be gathering more ground with every hour that passes according to the authorities' law.